and on and on and on and on it goes. Yes, the Super Eagles of Nigeria lost to Argentina yet again in an international tournament. It just doesn't get any worse than this. For a team that defeated Iceland by 2-0, and everyone thought just maybe we could do it against Argentina. Just a few minutes from that victory, a match where some Nigerians would tell you the commentator sounded biased, and then a game as well that the referee seemed not to know what he was doing in by making certain wrong calls. Sometimes you just have to wonder what is wrong, and why is it that when it comes to African football, certain things are being done and they are being overlooked simply because it's Africa, and the team that is being affected is all the way from Africa. But don't worry, we'll get to dissect this, talking about Nigeria versus Argentina and how things went down. I welcome you to another edition, talking about the second edition proper of Strictly Sports with Jumbino. My name is Jumbino, the hard tackling and the super dynamic midfield maestro, a combination of Makaleli and Javi, N'Golo Kante and Pele, where intensity and tenacity meet craftiness and guile. Right, I'll be taking you through what transpired between Nigeria and Argentina and how things really went down. Sometimes some things just happen and it just doesn't go your way, and yes, you've tried your best, you've done all you could, it just didn't work out the way you wanted to work out. Just hang in there. We'll be going through it bit by bit. So to summarize the game started and the Super Eagles of Nigeria didn't do so badly in the early stages, but then an Ivan Banega pass to Lionel Messi, which was controlled by that diminutive Argentine, and then being placed well by him with his right leg to give Argentina the lead, was something that took Nigeria back. But then in the second half, we started brightly and we got a penalty. Victor Moses tucked it in smoothly, and then it happened after some controversial moments with the VAR and all. Marcos Rojo got the winner for Argentina, and they go through to the round of 16 at the expense of Nigeria. Alright, so what are some of the things that was picked up from that particular game? Number one, you can see Balogun. There's Leon Balogun was on top of his game in that particular game. Even though the Eagles' defense were outrun and outwitted by Argentina, Leon Balogun stood out at the back, making timely interceptions, and tackles. But he didn't really give us what we expected of him in the first half. But then there was something questionable. Yes, talking about the refs officiating. He denied Nigeria a second penalty which touched the arms of Marcos Rojo. The Turkish referee, talking about Konet Kakil, watched the monitor for the VAR perspective and declared it a ball to hand, as is usually described. The video assistant referee has come to stay, as FIFA made us to understand, but irregularities with decisions are cast doubt over its trustworthiness. Musa in the 45th minute, taken down by Gabriel Mercado. Earlier, he and Acho fouled, admittedly not the one caught by Rojo's boots. So many things happened, but the referee decided is not something I would want to blow. And another thing, maybe Nigeria should be able to up their ante, because as it seems right now, Nigeria is a team that plays better in the second half. It's been very obvious since Genotro took charge. And one of the lessons we've learned is that the Eagles are a team that ups their ante in the second half. That glimpse was seen in their 2-1 defeat to England in one of the friendlies before heading to Russia. The positive is that the Eagles are a team that could cause an upset in Qatar 2022 if at least 60 to 70% of this team stick around by then. Going forward, the Eagles should start in blistering fashion instead of relying on their previous lucky second half resurgence. And then another question: where are the Nigerian supporters club? The St. Petersburg Stadium was a cauldron. There were so many fans of Argentina, led by the one and only Diego Armando Maradona, watching the match, and one could mistake it to be played in Buenos Aires. Nigerian fans were outnumbered by the Argentines, and despite the Super Eagles back in the game at 1-1, the South American fans never stopped roaring, singing, cheering their team. The images of Maradona being held by someone in the stand, the legend's trepidation and animated gestures are surely now iconic World Cup images. Watch out for them on the internet. Simply, the Nigerian side did not get such rousing support, and all we are saying, "Give us one goal" song was not loud enough. All we are saying, Give us one goal. We couldn't even get that, out for the players to really hear and be motivated. Just didn't work out well. Alright, let's talk about what the Super Eagles captain had to say about this. John Obi Mikel, he was outraged by the decision of Turkish referee Koné Kaki not to award a penalty to the Super Eagles after a handball by Manchester United defender Marcos Rojo in the World Cup match on Tuesday. With 15 minutes remaining, Nigeria were denied a clear penalty when Koné ruled that Rojo had headed the ball onto his own arm after consulting the VAR. I don't understand how that wasn't a penalty. For me, it was a clear handball, a clear penalty. Mikel said at the post-match press conference, if you watch the Portugal match, that wasn't even close to this. This was even worse. This was open. They had the ball and the ball hit his hand. Maybe the referee gave the first penalty and didn't want to give the second one. A penalty is a penalty. If you give the first one, you can still give a penalty. We have seen it again in the dressing room. It was a clear penalty. So there wasn't any way the referee couldn't give the penalty. He looked at the VAR and he told me the ball hit the player's hand. To make matters worse now, it was the same rule, who netted the winner when he volleyed the ball into the back of the net in the 86th minute. Just didn't turn out well for us, Mikel coming out to say that this guy came. He told me that it was a handball, but the way people say it now, they will tell you it's ball to hand. The player did not intend to do this. He did not intend to do that. It's just so sad. Okay, now let's go to the manager. That's a coach of the Super Eagles, and try to see what he had to say. You see, Genotra thought it was a wrong decision by the Turkish referee Koné Kaki not to award a penalty to his team after a handball by Manchester United's Argentina defender Marcos Rojo in the 75th minute in Tuesday's World Cup match in St. Petersburg. Ogene Karu-Etebo and Tyron Eboyi had given away 2 penalties in the Super Eagles' first 2 games in Russia against Croatia and Iceland. And the German admitted that he was delighted that the referee pointed to the spot after Javier Mascherano pulled Leon Balogun by the shirt in the 49th minute. Stories of penalty again. I believe that it was handball. I didn't see the video. It is difficult to decide for the referee and make a good interpretation of the VAR. It is not easy. We could have scored from a free kick, from a table. We believe it was in, but it wasn't. A few centimeters sometimes decides if you win or lose. My team gave away 2 penalties. Today we had 1. I was happy about it. Unfortunately, it was not enough. While Raw also, refused to criticize Brian Idowu for his performance and explained that he named the Russian-based defender in the starting 11 ahead of Tyron Eboyi because of his defensive qualities. He had this to say: Lionel Messi, when you have him on the right side coming in with his left foot, you must have a good defender with a good right foot. We have another one who played in the second half against Iceland who is more offensive, but is not too good defensively. He caused the penalty in the first match because he is very young. He has the time to learn to defend well. Brian Idowu is a much better defender, and he did well, especially against Messi. Messi scored a goal, but he did it with his right foot. What we did in the second half was very good with Brian Idowu. He can play on the left side and the right side also. That was what Genotra had to say. These things happen, and it's just these little differences that could decide if you win or lose. Now, Chelsea legend Didier Drogba also had his say. Believes Argentina would have been sent packing from the competition, if the referee was brave enough to award his second spot kick to Nigeria. That's a penalty because he did not read the trajectory of the ball well. Nobody touched him. That's a bad decision, Drogba said in his post-match analysis on the BBC. This is a defender's mistake. He did not read the ball well. It is a difficult responsibility to give this penalty as well because it will take Argentina out of the competition. Meanwhile, fellow pundit at Argentina international Pablo Zabaleta disagreed with Drogba but did not elaborate, simply saying it's never a penalty. Honestly, you see how weird this is? Because Nigeria would have qualified for the round of 16 if the referee had awarded the penalty and they scored, and it's just very, 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 very funny, and it's something that will make you to wonder what might have been for Nigeria. And just before rounding up, there's something that actually happened, or there was something that actually happened in that game. Turkish referee Koné Kaki broke an important FIFA rule during Nigeria's final Group D match with Argentina. The 41-year-old insurance agent allowed a key Argentina player, Javier Mascherano, to remain on the Krestovsky Stadium turf despite blood pouring down his face and the Nigerian players complaining. FIFA rules state that any player bleeding from a wound must leave the field of play, and he may not return until the referee is satisfied that the bleeding has stopped and the player is not permitted to wear clothing with blood on it. The International Football Association Board, that is the IFAB, which determines the laws of the game, adds any player bleeding leaves the field of play. The player may only re-enter on receiving a signal from the referee, who must be satisfied that the bleeding has stopped and there is no blood on the equipment. Argentina went through to the knockout stages following their 2-1 win over Nigeria. Lionel Messi, Victor Moses and Marcos Rojo all scored for their respective teams. Weird, you might say, but some things happen, and sometimes things happen against you. It's not every time things will happen for you. And yes, it is on this note that I cut the wraps on the second edition of Strictly Sports. This is just a way of dissecting what happened between Nigeria and Argentina. Yes, we've been knocked out of the competition, but then I know we'll come back 4 years later, stronger and better. We're talking about Qatar 2022. Yes, sir. Thanks for staying with me all the way. It's been a very fantastic edition of Strictly Sports. Don't worry, another episode will be coming your way soon. Something interesting we'll be talking about as well. Jumbino is my name, and I am the super dynamic midfield maestro. Don't forget to spread kindness around wherever you find yourself. Bye for now.